What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com, the place you go when you want action-packed content related to helping you grow your app downloads and, more importantly, those app revenues. And today, we've got a phenomenal guest. We're going to talk all about how video really drives sales, how you can use content marketing, especially with video, to close more sales, and the little hacks that we both use to use video to help our exact sales process from a content and a marketing perspective. So without further ado, let me introduce the guest. His name is Ruben Dua. He is the co-founder and CEO of a video messaging platform that you got to check out. It is called Dubb with two B's, Dubb.com. Ruben?
That's right. Thank you so much for that intro. Yes, Dubb with two B's, not with one. Dubb with one B is the rims that are over 20 inches or so. So not to be confused with that. Although we do love spinning the Dubbs over here. But yeah, we're really passionate about this idea of building connections, leveraging video to get over trust hurdles, to get over communication hurdles. Visual communication is 90% of how human beings communicate. That's just how we roll. Visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text, 60,000 times faster. So the way our brain is engineered is to be visual in nature. And when I think visual, I think video, because it's everything. It's audio, it's visuals, it's experiential, brand is there. There's so many different things. It's that human connection, though, at the end of the day, that we're really trying to facilitate. Because when you're in sales, when you're in marketing, and you're tired of doing those stick figure illustrations or those explainer videos with the little finger moving really fast, and you're tired of not getting the results, it's time to turn your camera on. It's time to become a personality, to put yourselves out and to say, you know what, it doesn't matter how I look. It doesn't matter what is out there about me on the internet. What matters is that I control my brand. I control my message, because at the end of the day, if we don't say what we want about ourselves and our companies, then other people will do it for us. My friend Roberto Monaco tells me that. So thank you so much for having me on the show.
Ruben, I know you started this in 2019 when your wife was going through, she's a realtor. Tell us about that story.
Well, watching someone in sales where they're an independent contractor, where you start with a zero salary and your entire salary is based on the effort that you put in, you learn a lot, because there's a unique set of struggles. You do not have security of working at a large company or even a small company. You're on your own. And, whether you're in a team environment or you're that solopreneur, it's really on you to survive. Unfortunately, most people do not. They end up running out of money, which is, the runway problem. They end up not finding product market fit, which happens a lot in technology, but also service or even product-based businesses. Their unit economics are messed up. They can't figure out a way to spend money on Facebook or YouTube or Google ads and then have that be profitable on the flip side. And then a slew of other kind of failure reasons that we all, frankly, have gone through, I first and foremost. So in having the opportunity to watch my wife and also just teams of salespeople, you start to realize what these common struggles are. Number one is that we get ignored. We in sales, we get ignored a lot. We're not always treated the best way that we can be, okay? It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. Our emails get ignored, our LinkedIn messages get deleted, our SMS messages get unsubscribed from. The problem is it's noise. And the reality is that we're inundated with, thousands of messages, advertorial and beyond, on a daily basis. So what we do to protect ourselves is we turn off noise that we get from people that we don't trust, strangers. Salespeople are strangers, stranger dangers. That's what we were taught to know. So salespeople realize a massive amount of rejection that many of us don't do. Oftentimes you'll hear about a contractor, a founder, a new business owner, a new salesperson that is afraid to get rejected. And it's unfortunate, because if you have that fear of rejection, ever figure out a way to spread your wings, because it's not about the 95% of the people that reject you. It's about the 5% that do decide to work with you, that you build relationships. The 95, they just don't know it yet, but they can be an evangelist, they can be a referral, maybe even a customer one day. So focusing on that positivity, focusing on the message, building those connections with people. Those are some of the things that, I have experienced in working alongside salespeople, including my wife, who's a real estate agent. So thank you for the question.
Well, how do you decide what to build? Because you can see like, oh, I want to do this. And one of the things that I value about video too, is I've seen people like send me sales messages being like, hey, Steve, your website needs to do this. And they'll have my website, they'll have all that stuff. And here's how we can improve it. And I love that. It impacts me way differently than just a cold email. But at the same time, like, how do you, Ruben, as a founder and creator of this platform, how do you decide which features to put in there? Is it the ease of use? What is it that you heard from your wife that you're like, hey, this has to be part of the core features?
Yeah, it all comes from listening. There's a Confucius mantra that states that, the intelligent man does not have to speak, but the ignorant man speaks a lot.
Right.
And that can't be more true, because listening is about, in fact, in a business perspective, it's about receiving customer feedback to figure out how we can solve specific problems, how we can solve specific pain points. So people are always telling us what they want us to build. In fact, we built a whole platform for it, which is the Dubb community. And the Dubb community it's a simple site. It's a forum that's built on Discourse. Discourse is something that I evangelize a lot, which is an open source forum platform. I encourage you guys to check it out. But in this community here, we have people that are constantly telling us about people that they're telling us about their requests. They're telling us about features. They're telling us things that are not optimized. So we're always receiving feedback from people on what we can build. And the great thing about it is that because there's functions like voting and viewing and counters, we can see what the demand is. For example, someone asked us to build the touch-up video feature, which is 1 comment on it and 54 views. So this is, if you guys are familiar, this is the feature in Zoom where it touches up your experience. It's a nice feature. It uses a little bit of AI. I believe in this feature, but unfortunately, we have not prioritized it because we haven't seen the demand. Whereas if you see some other feature requests, they're in the dozens. And that's where we know, hey, that is what we need to build. Getting the feedback from our paying clients, that's where it's at for us. There's so many features that I want to build that, like, there's this AI tool that allows you to put a cool pair of sunglasses on. And I really want to build that because, I love it. It's just tons of fun. 0 people have asked us to build that. So, I always need to check myself on not doing the features that I think that are fun, that I would like to use, but rather what our paying clients are. And sometimes
do you remember first feature sets were from your wife that you're like, oh, or just not just alluding to your wife all the time, but do you remember what those core features were?
Yeah. So I think that the first feature requirements came from sort of Inc. 5000 type company where I was supporting the sales staff, and they started to say, hey, listen, my emails are getting ignored. I'm not getting the bookings that I used to. There's a lot more competitive pushes right now that are working against me. How do I stand out from the crowd? And the first thing really came of, what is it that you can see on your screen? And then quickly send that to someone on email or LinkedIn. That was the first use case, right? And that's preliminary. There's a lot of different places to get that. That was sort of our starting point. So we said, hey, listen, we're going to build a Chrome extension that allows the screen recording and then the sharing. But then we realized sharing a video is one thing. You can do that on a lot of different tools. What's cool is when you get really detailed tracking. And that's where we decided to stand out from our competitors and really for anything that's out there in the marketplace. I think that's one of the reasons why I like to, that we're more of a category creator. It's the data, it's the tracking, it's the reporting. So what that means is if I record a video from the Dubb mobile app, from my screen, from the Gmail integration, the LinkedIn integrations into dozens of CRMs, and then I send over that to you, Steve, and you're my prospect, I want to know what the engagement, have you watched the video? What percentage of the video have you watched? Did you click on the calls to action? Did you fill out a form? Did you give me a thumbs up emoji? Where are you based? Are you looking on desktop? Are you looking on your mobile device? That type of data is what makes video communication actionable. So it's not just about sending someone a video. That's like sending someone a YouTube video. You never know what they're doing on that YouTube page. Now, we love YouTube. We all use. In fact, I'd love to talk about your YouTube channel in a moment. But at the same time, sending someone to YouTube, unless the goal is for branding and to get subscribers, oftentimes we lose them to the YouTube algorithm. So the thing that we're so passionate about is making video communication a controlled environment so that you send a video and they have a clear funnel that they can look at. So for example, if I share my screen right now, and if I show you what it looks like to actually have an action page, a Dubb action page, this is what it would look like. There's a video on the page, there's a playlist. These videos actually can be imported from YouTube, where this is a YouTube. So you still get the views. Okay. Yeah. So there's a way that you can make YouTube videos more actionable while still getting, the view metrics. Really important feature. Multiple calls to action. This is what we call a contact section. Sometimes we call this a video signature that has contact information, some additional links, all sorts of deep integrations, calendar functions, integrated web pages, anything that you can put into an iframe, embed onto a page, you can put it onto a Dubb action page. We even built something that really no one in the marketplace has, which is like a real-time chat right from the video page. So this allows us to kind of communicate in real time with people. And then of course, all of this can be branded in a way that suits your company or your personal brand, your logo, your background image, your colors. There's a lot of different ways to do that. But really keeping in mind though, that the page is one thing, the video is another thing. It's the tracking that becomes really interesting. So as you go into the data report, you can start to see, what the engagement was, what the views were, what the percentage was. And if I include the person's name into my tracking data, then I'll even get their first name and their last name. So it gets very granular.
That's interesting. I gotta tell you, Ruben, one of the things that people have complimented me for is I have a flow in my sales channel where if you reach out to I usually send you a link, and this could easily be a Dubb link, which it should be. I'm gonna make that change. But I send you a link to my calendar link, and then it automates the thing. And then after you're done with that, scheduling that call, I send you to some landing page I built in WordPress, where it's like, hey, this is all about me. I want to spend the 20 minutes that we're going to spend together focused on you. Here's my 2-minute spiel. So you don't have to ask me what my background is. I was like, I got tired of doing it. And then here's some bullet points. If you don't want to watch the video, here's some bullet points about who I am and why, my background, so to speak. And people were like, I love that flow. And so, but that could easily be a Dubb page, which you've already integrated the calendar, all the things that I have. And on top of that, I could put in different videos. Like, hey, if you want to keep watching videos, here's like the number one, 5 top mistakes that app developers make when marketing their app. And that could be a video too. So I can see how it could work, but I already have that video sequence in my sales flow.
Well, what I really like about our relationship in how we got to know each other before we actually met is we had a chance to watch each other's videos or visit each other's LinkedIn pages. So you kind of build that parasocial relationship where you feel like you might know the person, even though you've actually haven't met them yet. So I had a chance to actually watch one of your talks on your YouTube channel, which I really enjoyed, which was talking about, app marketing and development and just sort of generally best practices. This was a great video. I recommend that people kind of check that out. I think it might be one of your featured videos, but that was a really positive experience for me. I love this idea of being able to go to someone's social channel and then to be able to understand who they are, watch a video of them so I feel like I know them, and then start to engage with their social content. In fact, this is one of the features that we built on Dubb. It's called the bio link feature. And on the bio link feature, as part of your Dubb account, you can create a simple social media video where there's a video on top and then there's specific calls to action with any social button that you want to add here, including Clubhouse, funny enough. Any of those sites that allow you to create that social profile link. This effectively takes that role. And the reason why we think this is going to be more effective is because it has your video. So when people watch this video, they can hear you, they can see you, they can start to build trust as a real human being. It's not some bot. And as a result, you're going to get more followers, more relationships, and frankly, more sales for your business. So we encourage people to Linktree. That's the big one. So this is kind of a Linktree disruptor. Huge shout out to Linktree because they've built a fantastic product. But at the same time, if someone does want to create something that's more video focused with kind of like more detailed tracking, encourage you guys to check out BioLink on Dubb.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, one of the things that I was thinking about too, is I was thinking about your platform. Like when you first started thinking about it as more of like a messaging platform for sales, how is it sort of, one is like, I guess there's a lot of questions. So let me break that down. One, how did you come up with the pricing? And two, like, how did you go about getting those initial customers? Because I know B2B is sometimes really hard. And I talked to a lot of B2C companies where it's like, oh yeah, I'll run some Facebook ads, I'll do this, Google ads. So how did you go about getting those initial customers?
Okay, so let's break this down. So I think that there's a couple of things here. Number one is the evolution of Dubb. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is just generally our pricing strategy. And then I would say the last thing is our acquisition strategy. How have we been able to acquire, our customers in the B2B space and continue to grow. So let's just kind of break this down. So in terms of our pricing and our product, one of the things that we started to realize was that most startups go through this evolution, specifically within the B2B space. They go through this process of the upstream strategy, right? They start with solopreneurs that are high on risk, high on innovation, but then low on ticket size. So a solopreneur might be very okay putting $40 a month in for a software platform and to be okay breaking stuff, creating email drip sequences, sending out SMS campaigns, pushing the limits of marketing and technology and software, and that's cool. And those people are extremely valuable because they're the ones that are the innovators. They're the ones that are not afraid to get their feet wet. This is the Christensen phenomenon where it's the innovator's dilemma. The more innovation there is, the more risk there there is. The Tesla from 10 years ago had a lot of bugs. It had a lot of problems. It wasn't perfect. In fact, there were very few charging stations back then. You might end up running out of juice on the side of the road. That is the innovator's dilemma. By embracing the dilemma, by embracing the fact that these people that are ready and willing to take risks, we were able to figure out a really robust feature set. But then, as mentioned, as you start to swim upstream, as you become more mature, as you start to gain larger clients, for us, it was Inc. 5000 clients, and then eventually Fortune 500 clients. Then you start to realize, okay, we need to be able to have the balance of both worlds. We need to be innovative, but we also need to be secure and stable. So this is where we started to say, let's build out pricing tiers. Let's have a support plan. And that's for people that are just getting their feet wet. They've used maybe a Loom or something like that has, very limited functionality, but they just want to be able to do that with maybe some additional features. That's our first pricing point. And then we started to say, well, now let's go to the Pro plan. And that now becomes more robust. It has more technology, more features, more things to get things done. And then as you start to evolve and as you start to sort of add more features, you realize that if you continue to add, and this is a really important thing from a founder sort of strategist perspective, if you start to continue to add features and continue to give them away for free to your existing client base on whatever plan they might be on, you lose this opportunity to get them to upgrade, to get them to buy add-ons. So that then becomes the evolution. You start to add more pricing plans. You add Pro Plus. In this case, it's over double the amount, but the feature set justifies it. And then as you start to build out your technology, you realize, well, we shouldn't keep including the features into your pricing plans because you'll never monetize it, and it's irresponsible. Little sort of backsplash to the conversation that I was having previously, which is the reason why people fail. And one of those reasons is that they're not monetizing their products and services correctly. So then we started to say, okay, how do we build the add-on section? And then that now becomes more feature rich. We add more things, custom domain, automations, which is a whole robust workflow platform, transcriptions, an actual proprietary Dubb sender, which is where you don't need a MailChimp. You can actually send a video, email, or SMS right through the platform. So the evolution continues, more features, more plans, but still listening, all rooted in listening. What is it that people want? And then as you start to realize, okay, we're getting to a mature place, then you have to start to slow down. You have to take your innovations and you have to create the lab. And then the lab is where you start to take some of that risk, and then you can start to deploy things in more of a beta situation for a specific audience, because the last thing you want to do when you're working with large companies, Inc. 5000, Fortune 500, et cetera, to have them be beta testers, have them be paying clients that are beta testers. That's just not a good experience for everyone. So I think that's really where the shift starts to happen, where you have innovation over here, scalability, sage user experience over here, while still having that parallel track. But it's important to keep that balance and silo it to avoid risks. And then I think the final thing you asked me is what the acquisition strategy is. Now, the acquisition strategy for us, it started out years and years ago in pre-sales. We said, we're going to start to do some really big announcements on pre-sales, give people access to our feature set, even though we're in the process of building it. And by being transparent, by having that type of a crowdfunding type situation, you start to bring people into the process, which also helps build your brand up. And that got us to a place where we had enough money to start to say, let's take this to the next level. And then we started to go more of the traditional acquisition routes, which for us, it's original content, it's our YouTube channel, it's our blog, Facebook ads, we have YouTube ads, there's a podcast connection loop. So I'm sure, these are very similar channels to some of the stuff that you're doing, because I know that on your YouTube channel, you're now up to almost 18,000 subscribers for App Masters, which is amazing. Congratulations. And you can tell, obviously, you're very committed to the program. So you know all about the original content play. So I won't preach to this choir about that.
I like that. Hey, Ruben, you said pre-sell. How did you go about doing that?
So with pre-sale, the thing is that if you do your research, you can find different partners out there that will take what it is that you're selling and put it into a package where they promote it to a large audience. So if you do your research, you'll find
like in a bundle?
Not bundle, like there's, this Stack Social, they were acquired. There's Appsumo, they're going through the process. There's a lot of these companies that have this sort of deep discounted software. And everyone knows that they're very early. It's an early startup that's trying to get some proof of concept. So, we went down that path years and years ago, as mentioned. And, it was generally a positive experience. I think one of the things that people suffer from when they do these types of campaigns is that they never recover the brand. People always ask them, hey, I want a lifetime deal. I want the 80% off deal that you gave 3 years ago. Can you do that? And the answer has to be no. That was legacy and that doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of people get stuck into that thing where they're on the slippery slope of always discounting. Discounting is not good. It's not good for the business and it's not good for the customers either. If there's a highly discounted product, service, software platform, something's got to give. Like every time I drive by a sushi place that says 50% off sushi, I mean, I just get nervous. I'm like, well, if you're going 50% off your sushi, what else is 50% off? The quality, the experience, the staff, the freshness, like what is wrong? And then what happens when you do that? Then people have a poor experience because the quality dipped, the customer service was poor. And then you start to get the bad Yelp reviews. And then you're like, how do I build up the business again? Let me do another promotion, 60% off. And then before you know it, you're at 90% off and your business is 6 feet under. So, discounting is something that people have to be really cautious about because at the end of the day, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. And I know one of my previous guests used Appsumo and they were able to bring a ton of different customers in, which helped with cash flow and all that stuff. This is all publicly said. And it gave them like more energy to work on the product. It's like, oh man, we got so much more feedback. So it's an interesting outlet to take. I like the route you've taken with
Yeah. I mean, I tell people to be cautious in that process, to really figure out what the long-term strategy is, to have your 5-year plan and to figure out ultimately who's going to be your ideal client profile. Like who is that ideal person? For us, it's the vice president of sales at a mid to large market company. That's where we thrive. We also love solopreneurs, SMBs. We have thousands of them as paying clients, but our ideal client is that sort of sales leader. So a lot of the stuff that I do on my personal channel, Ruben do on YouTube is for sales leaders specifically, because that's kind of our sweet spot.
I like that. For the creative ways, actually, on top, while you're talking about that, Ruben, did you have a 5-year plan when you were kind of thinking through, hey, let's go through this pre-sale route. Here's our 5-year plan. This pre-sale is going to give us this. So it was baked into, let's say, the year one.
I'd like to call it my fear year plan, because, when you have fears, when we address our fear, that's when we can actually make really sage decisions in our lives. If I fear of getting into a car accident and losing my vehicle, then I will go purchase car insurance. Right. So, a lot of people say no fear and fears are false evidence appearing real. And I totally disagree with that. I think that fears are the way that our survival instinct and mentality is telling us to make smarter decisions in our lives. Because whenever I listen to my fear and listen to my parent, I often make really sound decisions that, yes, cost a little bit of money and require an investment or a change in lifestyle. But at the same time, I always get the ROI out of it, if I'm rooted in a really good place. So I think, where we started in the beginning was knowing that there was a risk, there was a concern of staying in the discounted realm, staying in the solopreneur realm, which again, but staying in that realm because it's hard to monetize. It's, it takes the same amount of time for us to go acquire a customer that has 50 users than sometimes it does that has 1 user, because that's just the nature of the beast, right? So having the concerns be the starting point, but then have that flourish and then grow into a strategy, that I think is the best plan. So it's hard to be thinking about your 5-year plan when you're absolutely knee deep in the startup process. You're finding product market fit, you're hustling to get those customers, you're working on your acquisition channels. Having a 5-year plan oftentimes in that stage feels you're just becoming a spreadsheet millionaire, but at the same time, I think we have to be mindful, the same way that we need to focus on our mental health and that we need to focus on our life balance and fitness and all these things. It's the same way that from day one, we always have to be thinking about the long-term plan. So, did I have a perfect plan in a deck with spreadsheets? Absolutely not. But I did know that my concerns needed to be addressed. And as a result, I really executed upon that plan, and we're still in the process. So we've got a lot of work to do. We're still students, we're listening, we're salespeople, but we're on the trajectory. So, we're well,
kudos. You have over, the latest numbers I have over 50,000 users across all the channels. You've been doubling each month. So kudos to that. Hey, Ruben, I want to sort of end with this. What are some creative ways that you've seen some of your customers use video, whether it's through support, whether it's through sales, anything that stand out to you?
Yeah. Okay. So here are my 3 favorite ones. one. So the first thing, and I'll mention this first because to my fellow podcaster, it's the way you invite someone to your podcast. So for example, what I'll do is I'll just very quickly show what my podcast invite page looks like. And what's interesting about this is that when I want someone to come onto my podcast, this is the page that I send them. It's this page with an intro that talks about me, and then it gives a little bit of context on what is it that they're going to be checking out. So, check out some of the episodes, subscribe on YouTube, my social stuff, and then of course my favorite part, which is the booking link. Yeah. So this way they can book a time in my calendar. And, I don't have to go back and forth and ask people, hey, when are you available? Tuesday at 10 in the morning. That's old school, so by having that booking link, it really, really streamlines the process. The next one that we really enjoy doing is our sales one, right? So how do you get people to book a time in your calendar from a sales perspective? So here on my screen, what you can see is my booking page. This I recorded at a WeWork. It looked nice. This took me about 12 seconds to record. It was a one-take video. And now I send to people on a daily basis. Again, a call to action with my calendar. They can learn more about me. When people watch the video, when people research me, the booking rates, and more importantly, the show rate are dramatically higher. The next thing that I've seen people use is the Dubb mobile app, where they create multiple clips. In the Dubb mobile app, what you can do is, here's the Dubb mobile app. If I click on the record button, what I can do is actually record multiple clips. So I can record one clip like this. I'm in real estate. I'm showing the house. I'm in sales. I'm showing myself. Maybe I'm showing my screen. And then that's going to record one clip. And then I can start to build out, my visual story with multiple clips. So you can see here, I've created 2 clips. Within a couple of seconds, I have a pretty dynamic video. I can move these clips around. I can edit these. I can trim these. I can add music. I can add text. And then, of course, I can upload this to the Dubb platform, which I've just done right there. And then within a couple of seconds, as you can see here, it's already up on Dubb, ready to share on the desktop, on the website, in Gmail, in LinkedIn, ready to rock and roll. And a quick reminder for myself that I need a haircut. So, it's a lot of good stuff that happens from watching these videos.
Just curious, found a way to better embed, or like when a outgoing email goes out, to have some type of video element embedded in those? I know there's some tools that do it. Okay. Nice. Just curious to know.
I think the only email that allows that is the Mac client, the Mac email client. Gmail blocks, Outlook blocks, the other ones block it. So yeah, unfortunately, the only way to embed a video into an email, as I understand, is through Mac Mail. And I don't know if the newer versions do that. The reason why this is the case is because the second that you can embed any type of JavaScript, any type of code within an email, there's all sorts of security concerns. In fact, remember, our videos are trackable. When people watch the videos, you get to see what percentage of the video that they watched it for. Google and Outlook, they're not going to want that type of stuff. In fact, a lot of the times, even if you send an animated GIF, it blocks that. You have to click display images. So those are just generally security control.
I love it. Anything I missed, Ruben, that you want to make sure we cover before we hit the big
I wanted to just encourage people to get over that hurdle. I hear about all day that there's a fear of recording, fear of being on video. And I just wanted to remind people that, we're all beautiful in our own ways. We all have a message. We all have a story to tell. When you really tap into this idea of human storytelling from one human being to the other, that is the essence of humanity from an interactive perspective. And video is absolutely the way that you can harness that. So, remember, if you are feeling imposter syndrome, or if you're feeling fear or a little uncomfortable being on camera, it just takes practice. It's not like there's something wrong with you. You just have to get into the flow of doing it, and frankly, not really care about what people think. There's always that are going to be people that give negative comments or say, hey, this person all of a sudden is a video personality. You can't really worry about them, because a lot of the times they're just jealous. Yeah. So I just encourage you guys to just get in front of the mirror, start to practice there, and just use video, because it's your best friend.
It is. And it's done wonders for us. Since we started focusing on the YouTube channel, it's the number one way find us. And then, like you said, Ruben, like, it just makes it easier for people to want to work with you, because they see you, they've heard you, they feel like they know you before they come in. This has been absolutely amazing, but let's go to the big finish. Besides Dubb, give us an app that we should definitely check out.
Ooh, okay. Well, I've been enjoying Canva. You mentioned Canva, so that's top of mind. The reason why I like Canva right now is because instead of using PowerPoint or Google Slides, you can use Canva for slides, but then you can export it as an MP4 video, add some simple animation, and you can actually export it in transparent or with the background. And we actually have started to use that on our YouTube channel. So it almost functions as like a real-time teleprompter, where in some of our videos, you'll notice that in these videos, we actually have the slides that we created on Canva. So, that has been a really really positive experience for me. I really enjoyed that. The other one, as I start to look on my screen right here, is QuickBooks. I think that that's a good one. It's just good for business. It's good for us to stay responsible. Etsy is a good one. GarageBand, if you're into music. I recently sold my car on eBay Motors. I play guitar, so there's some tuner apps in there. So there's a lot of good stuff.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Canva's one of my favorites. What's a lesson that could be business or personal that took you the longest to learn?
So I would say that the hardest lesson that took the longest time to learn is the idea of being an empathetic listener. A lot of the times what happens when we're in sales, especially when we're trying to persuade people, is that we have a goal where we want to thrust that or push that upon someone and have them do some action that's in favor of what we want to do.
Yeah.
Little success comes from that. You can't convince someone to buy something, and most importantly, to stick around as a long-term customer and then to be an evangelist. They have to want that from themselves. And the way that you do that is not by talking. The way that you do that is by listening. So by listening, you understand customer needs, you find product market fit, you figure out ways to prioritize it, ways that you can monetize the service, but still have a responsible business. So I just tell us all to just get those big Dumbo ears and listen as much as you possibly can. Because remember, at the end of the day, intelligent man doesn't have to speak, ignorant man speaks a lot. Kind of like I was in this whole podcast.
Because of the podcast, I've been way better listener. My wife is like, you don't remember anything, you don't listen. I'm like, honey, I got a podcast. My job is and think of the next question at the same time.
Right.
One of the hardest things to do. Same time. The website, you guys got to go check it out. Is Dubb, dubb.com. It is in the mobile app as well on both platforms, dubbdubb.com. Ruben, if the audience wants to connect with you personally, do you want to send them anywhere else?
Yeah, check me out at Ruben Dua. I'm on YouTube. I've been doing having a lot of fun on my YouTube channel. So come check that out. A lot of vlog style stuff, really good amount of production value. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Instagram, LinkedIn. That's my business spot. It's all Ruben Dua. If you want to email me, ruben@dubb.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all for listening. I'll see you on the next chat.